All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people out here just like you and just like me. So there's the story that has been around about the band Chicago now for several years that they may continue without any original members. Now, I'm not sure how people feel about that. I will talk about that in a moment. Before I do that, though, this is a new music sharing new music by Jonathan Traylor. And this is like an EP or a short album, depending on how you want to look at it. The title of this, Closer Than You Think. There's what the back of it looks like, in case you're curious. And I use CDs mostly as props. So you can see what the artist looks like and on the Motown label. So that's really cool, right? And this is faith based music. He's got a couple of songs floating around out there on various radio stations, but he's really good. I loaded one of these for the patrons who are keeping me afloat here. By the way, thank you, patrons, for doing that. If you'd like to become a patron, you can do it for like $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you can afford. Also, YouTube memberships eventually coming back, and buy me a coffee, which it's always great to get notifications that someone bought me a coffee. Now, Chicago the band. They've been one of my favorite bands since I was a little kid. My older brother and my older sister had those early Chicago albums, Chicago Transit Authority, um, probably Chicago 2, and even Chicago 3. I think probably from a purist standpoint, the first 5 Chicago albums are probably their best overall. But then, of course, there was the 80s rebirth of Chicago, and I was there for that. I went to go see Chicago during the Chicago 18 tour when Jason Sheff joined the band, and they weren't selling tickets at the Providence Civic Center. So it was really easy to get tickets for that, and they put on a great show. They were very motivated to prove to the world that they could continue without Peter Cetera, but now they're saying they don't need original members at all. And this has been a rumor since about 2018. By the way, Chicago the band coming up on their 60th anniversary in just 2 years. So they're getting into like Rolling Stones territory with anniversaries. That's an impressive number, 60 years. But the band's core, or the old timers, as some people refer them as or to, Lee Loughnane is 78 years old. Robert Lamb just turned 80 years old. And Jimmy Pankow is the young kid on the block at 77. Loughnane says it makes a lot of sense that the group would survive in the absence of its most familiar players. Notice how they term that. They don't call themselves original members. They call themselves familiar players. Now, Chicago has had this philosophy for quite some time that everybody is expendable or replaceable. And as much as I like their philosophy in that way, the goal is to replace people with people who will, I guess, allow you to cope with the people who are no longer there. In my humble opinion, nobody has been able to replace Peter Cetera, although they love their current lead singer, Neil Donnell. And Neil is doing a pretty good job. He's slowly winning me over, but I mean, he's been there now for a number of years, so I'm not sure if it's just me having difficulties warming up to the guy. But, there's this issue with stage presence and being a front man, but they don't want that philosophy. They believe that everybody is a front man. Everybody is equally important. The guy they have playing keyboards who helps out Robert Lamb, to me, just doesn't fit in with this band. But okay. He's kind of a music director sort of guy. His name is Lauren Gold, and I'm pretty sure he worked with The Who as well. Um, I don't know. There's something not working there. If they're going to have a guy sing the baritone parts on these duets, they need somebody who has a baritone. All right. It's just, sorry. That's just maybe more information. I became not so harmless on that one. But yeah, they're not saying they're stopping anytime soon. They've always had this mantra that they're going to just collapse on stage and that'll be the end of it. But um, Robert Lamb said in 2018, there's a feeling that instead of just being Chicago, it would be like the Chicago Little Symphony, if you will. Players go in and players go out. He says, so I think that's a possibility. And these guys, of course, would retain the rights to the name and make sure that the people going out there represent the band and so forth. But I don't know. This might work because Chicago has always been almost like a mini orchestra, but you've got to hire the right people. And they're basing this too on the model that Blood, Sweat, and Tears put into action years ago when they had zero original members, and this has been going on for decades. And quite honestly, it kind of works for them, but they're not selling out stadiums or large venues. They're going to places where music is kind of like atmosphere. If you go to Epcot, they might be there. You might see them in the courtyard or whatever it is over there, and you're just like, oh, cool, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I'll listen to this. And it doesn't really resemble Blood, Sweat, and Tears. They had a guy a few years ago, Bo Bice, who just reignited that brand for a few years. I'm puzzled as to why they got rid of Bo because he was really good. I'm thinking he wanted to get paid and they probably didn't want to pay him, but I think they could have recorded new stuff. They could have really just taken their legacy and amped it up, but they decided, we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing with the people that we want, and maybe these people aren't as demanding as far as money goes. I never heard why they got rid of Bo, but I was checking them out. Every time they'd upload a live performance with Bo singing, it was just like, yeah, that's almost David Clayton Thomas. That's really close. But in the case of Chicago, again, you're going to have to really work on hiring the right people. And I'm talking about the singing part of this, not just playing instruments as though that's the only thing people care about. People want to hear singers who can replicate all of this great material that the band has recorded over the years with the same enthusiasm, the same spirit, and hopefully in the same key it was recorded in originally. So yeah, all right. So Chicago could continue with zero members. Not surprising. It's a business model going forward. It's like Kiss with the avatars. It's like almost every band that is still around that is as old or maybe not as old as Chicago, just replacing with other people. And, again, it's up to the consumer to say, yeah, I want to do this. I want to go see this band. Or, you know what? I saw this band in their heyday. Where's Terry Kath, right? Who's replaced? No one's been able to replace Terry Kath. So that's problematic. And people don't worry about that stuff. The casual fans just go and who's this guitarist? They're probably, they have no idea who's currently playing guitar for Chicago right now. And probably the guy before, they didn't know who he was either. So we go down the list, and at some point, it's just about the brand and the show, and it's Chicago, so let's go see it. So maybe Robert Lamb has got a point. Maybe the Chicago Little Symphony might be an interesting idea. And especially if you actually bring in additional musicians to be like a symphony in addition to what the band normally sounds like. All right. So one more time on Jonathan Traylor. This guy's really good. Closer than you think. If you're looking for some soul, pop, gospel, R&B, um, looks like Jonathan has packed his bag and he's ready to go. It's like a Toby Mac lyric right there. Um, this is just good stuff. And again, on Motown, which is pretty cool that Motown would do some faith based stuff. My name is Dave. Thanks for watching. Again, if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. It's a new year, it's a new channel, and I need new subs. So if you can help me out there, great. Also, as I already mentioned, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. Thanks for being here. God bless everyone. Please pray for those who are still dealing with that wildfire in California. Not all those fires have been contained. Some of them still burning 70, 80%. And, it's difficult to contain a fire when you've got this wind coming in, and you got to just pray that the wind direction will shift and that the firefighters can get in there and do their jobs and put these flames out. All right. I will be back. See you then.